สวัสดีครับ Hello. So I think all of us just had lunch. So before I start, let's actually kind of play a game first. So if you guys can join me, just open up your cell phone and เกมทำได้ไหม One second. Okay. If you can go to this site called kahoot.it. Okay. And please enter this number in the game pin 132394. ได้ไหมได้กันไหมครับ .it ใช่ไหมใช่ครับ .it นะครับ kahoot.it มีคุณจิมแล้วครับ1คนโอเค so let's wait 2 minutes okay so once we get 30 let's start okay maybe 40โอเคครับ Okay เอาเลยไหม Okay so let's start Okay so the first question I have 10 questions for you guys just want to see what you think about digital transformation and some of the numbers so the first thing what is the average time spent using an app per day per smartphone is it 2 5 7 or 10 hours what do you think Okay, so it's about 2 hours a day. Okay. Number 2. Okay. Which country spend the most time on the internet per day? What do you think? Thailand, South Korea, USA, or China? Maybe South Korea. Huh? It's actually Thailand, okay? We're actually the country that use the most internet time per day. So that's not a good thing. Okay, next question. How many people search on Google per second? Is it 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, or 40,000 search per second? Okay, it's actually 40,000 search per second. That's a big number. Okay, คุณแอนนะครับโอ้นำเยอะเลยนะครับ Okay, next question นะครับ Which is not about digital technologies? Okay, is it about big data analytics, 3D printing, Internet of Things, or media and printing? Which is not? Correct นะครับ Media and Printing นะครับ We actually had that forever. That's been there for 100 years. Okay. Next one นะครับ คุณแอนนี่นะครับโอ้ทำคะแนนดีมาก Okay. Which is the target of digital transformation? Is it about going paperless? Is it for faster processing, better customer experience, or higher revenues? Okay ครับ majority guarded นะครับก็ better customer experience นะครับ we're gonna talk a lot about it during the talk today นะครับ on the business model innovation นะครับ so next question นะครับคุณแอนนะครับโหเก่งมากครับคนไหนครับคุณแอนโอ้โอเคครับ what is the difference นะครับ between startups and SME ครับ is it about extremely innovative is it about scalability business model Is it about non-traditional financial models and strategy or it's about risk? Actually นะครับคำตอบทุกอันถูกหมดนะครับ everything's correct นะครับแต่ว่าmost people would say like the biggest thing will be the scalable business model นะครับ SME เนี่ยอาจจะมีเทคโนโลยีอะไรกันบ้างแต่ว่า mainly startup สามารถ scale ได้เร็วกว่านะครับโอเค next one โอ้ยคุณท็อปครับคุณท็อปนำครับโอเค next question นะครับ where is the largest manufacturer and exporter นะครับของ military and defense drones ครับอเมริกา North Korea Israel or Indiaโอเคครับอิสราเอลนะครับ this is the right answer basically we call this country as a startup nation they actually really innovative and they're doing a lot of startup a lot of their digital transformation and we'll talk more about it okay next one นะครับคุณหนุ่ยนะครับ okay which is not a famous global startups is it Snapchat Tinder Fabricate or Ethereum ครับOkay, Fabricate ครับ correct นะครับ so Snapchat I think you guys know about it it's like a video thing you click on it and it disappear pretty fast Tinder anyone use Tinder ครับ Okay nobody wants to say okay Ethereum is a Bitcoin นะครับแล้วก็ Fabricate is actually เจ๊งแล้วครับ it's actually one of our team member used to work there and it's gone and that's actually a point I want to bring up is that a lot of startup they fail and a lot of time their business kind of reach a point where they know they can't go longer so stopping is actually a good thing if you can stop fast โอเคนะครับ and next question นะครับ number 9 how many people use Grab นะครับ and keep in mind นะครับ Grab is for ASEAN mostly นะครับ23 36 48 or 52 million36นะครับ36ครับโอเคครับ last question นะครับอันนี้ยากสุดนะครับโอเค how far in the cave นะครับ did the 13 หมูป่านะครับgot stuck นะครับ is it 5 kilometer เชียงใหม่หรือเปล่าหรือประเทศอังกฤษเลยนะครับ or พัทยา beachฟันนะครับก็5 kilometer นะครับแต่ว่า all seriousness นะครับก็ wish them well นะครับ everything is happening today and we wish the best for them ครับ okay so basically นะครับ just a little game just want you guys to get back to the after lunch mode นะครับ and okay so let's get to okay so basically นะครับ my name is Josh Pass I'm the director of digital transformation SCG and also the managing director of Adventures by SCG today I actually have two panelists with me คุณศิริศักดิ์กับคุณไม่สอนนะครับ he will join us later the whole point about today is to link the circular economy with the digital transformation okay นะครับ and this morning I think most of you were in the session before so just gonna touch briefly on what they talk about on the circular economy then I'll come back to digital transformation นะครับ so what is the circular economy right I think they talk a bit this morning that we're currently using a lot of what we call a linear model right we take something we use it and then eventually dispose it so it became just a one-way thing and just keep disappearing we want to go towards the circular economy which is we're making something we using it then reuse it and make it become a loop right that's the whole key idea and what we want to explore here is actually how we can have a new way of looking into it with the markets, with the customer, and also with the technology so that we can actually kind of, do a lot of things here. So, it will actually kind of do good thing for the world นะครับก็ definition นะครับ number one is going from linear to circular. I think we already talked about that. Number two is about kind of reducing the dependency on the natural resources นะครับ and I think what they talked this morning is that basically if you do it well it actually can drive the bottom line growth also and increase your competitiveness at the same time mitigating your risk. So that's the definition of it นะครับ and if we talk briefly on the models there's actually 5 of these models that we can think about the circular economy. The first one, the circular supplies, right? If we can use something that is renewable, something that is biodegradable, we can actually make a lot of things become a loop itself, right? Number 2 is, resource recovery. We can maybe recover a lot of the waste, right? Number 3 is prolonging the product itself, make it longer and, last longer. And 4, platform นะครับ platform idea is about connecting a lot of users, right? And once they use things together, we can make a lot of things more efficient. And lastly, product as a service is actually kind of giving people access to the product. You don't have to own it, but you can give them access and pay for that to do it. Okay, so that's all I'm going to touch on the circular economy. But let me focus more on the digital transformation and also the idea of the open innovation. Okay, so when we talk about digital transformation at SCG, we say that it's equal to new business model innovation. Okay, what does it mean? It actually follows these 3 principles. Okay, and it has to go in this order. So first, we have to think about the jobs to be done, right? And think of it as this, the customer problem, customer pain point. In the West Coast, the Stanford, Berkeley, they call it design thinking, but it's the same thing. You have to do that one first. And then next, we start addressing with the business model, okay? And for the digital, there's only 4 broad different type of business models. The first one, we call it e-commerce, right? This one is connecting a lot of users to our site. It can be like, they call it offline to online, right? So think of it as one to many. The second one, we call it the marketplace. Okay, marketplace, think Alibaba, think Amazon. Basically, we're connecting a lot of suppliers and connecting a lot of users together, right? The third one is called data as an asset. How do we actually use the data to create decision, to make value from what we learn? And the fourth one is called automation. So broadly, there's only 4 types, but the details are different from one company, one startup to the next. And once you have these 2, then the next step can be the digital technologies. But I must stress here that technology always comes last, right? But the thing is, technology is actually the one that can make you differentiate from the next startup or the next business. And a lot of time it's the one that can help you scale up, okay? And when you talk about digital technologies, there's actually 4 key ones. This is the mother of the technologies. The first one is called IoT, Internet of Things. I think most of you heard of it. The second one is called advanced analytics. You use a lot of data. People talk about big data, right? And third one, basically is about cloud, right? Cloud computing. If you think about it, many years ago, only the big companies will have access to the big asset in terms of computer, right? But nowadays, the startup, the little guys, can just pay as it go and use the cloud, right? And then the most famous one is mobility, right? The smartphone. And these 4 are the one that actually define most of the technologies. But depending on the applications, then you connect to the little ones. For example, if you're doing something on a vehicle, then you connect to the autonomous vehicle. If you do on the things about, additive materials, then you connect to 3D printing. There's drones, there's AR, VR, a lot of things, okay? So that's about the digital transformation, briefly short, okay? And I want to touch about the open innovation a little bit. We use an example of Adventures. This is the CVC that we have here at SCG. And the idea here is, a lot of time we need to think that, okay, we need to build something or we need to buy something, right? And SCG is one of those. We used to do a lot of M&A, right? But in reality, nowadays, there's many things in between, buy and build. You can borrow, you can collaborate, you can do a lot of things. So the idea of adventures is actually to work with a startup who are really innovative, and we actually can work with them and help them scale up, okay? And when you work with the idea of open innovation, the first thing you need to do is actually define what is your verticals, or think of it as your menu when you go to the restaurant. For us, it's industrial, B2B, and enterprise. Next, you need to figure out what is your location, where do you play. And for us, ASEAN, we look at the business model. If it's a technology, then China, Israel, or Silicon Valley. Then you need to have your fund, right? When do you invest? And for us, we call it Series A. Series A means when they're starting to have customer and they're starting to scale, right? So we want to focus on that. And for SCG, for Kun Yuttana's department, we have 3,000 million baht for digital fund and also 3,000 million baht for deep tech, okay? And lastly, I think direct is straightforward. Everyone knows that we invest in startup. But another thing that we do a lot, we call it commercial partnerships. We think of it this way that, the first thing we can do for them is be their user. We can pay to use their service and give them access to our customers or market access. And for the past 12 months, we've actually been doing about 60 plus, 60. So I think we're pretty proud of what we do there, okay? So the open innovation and the digital transformation is what we call digital in this context today. And I want to tie the two together, okay? So when you talk about this, the DT and the CE, what do you mean, right? The first thing I usually think is that, anyone here heard of the business model canvas? Have you heard of it? Okay, some do. So basically, when you say business model innovation, if you look at the canvas, which is the tool that we use, you can break things into two sides. The first one, we call it customer facing. So it's about revenue model, it's about what channel, it's about customer segmentation, roughly. This is the front side. Then on the other side, we call it the factory facing. That one is about what activities, what resource, and what is your costing model. Okay, so for me, when I put them together, I want to give you some example. Okay, if it's customer facing, there's a startup I think is pretty neat. It's called Just Park from the UK. Okay, and basically what they do is that we already have parking lots around London and some of the major city, but what they want to do is when they have events, there's not enough parking spots. So they say, can we work with the homeowners in that area and work together on the land, right? And share resource and actually have a business model. So that's pretty neat. That's one of the startup that they do. Another example I want to talk about is called Hilti. Okay, Hilti is from Liechtenstein, and think of Black & Decker or Bosch, the tool company, right? They are a true digital company. They talk to the customer, and they realize that all of the contractors and like the project manager, they say that the thing they hate the most is on the tool management. They like to construct the building, but they don't want to spend time charging the battery, things about what we need to use tomorrow. So this company come up with the idea where, every day the crew can just come to work and the tools will be there. And it's already fully charged for that particular job. Being a concrete work today or roofing work today, they have all the tools. And once they're done, they will manage everything for you. So that's two of the example. If it's on the factory facing, I have a few examples. The first one is the SCG chemicals. Okay, this one relates to Chang a little, but mainly we have a service. We have a thing that the customer can just come and say, we have a drone for inspection. We actually have the service for the สะพานแขวนนะครับ the cable rod on the bridge. We have the one to go under the water or even go over the factories and look at the flare, look down and do inspection to figure out what is wrong or what's going on. But if you think of it, we serve on the efficiency, adding, I think that's the first one. But the next one is on the safety, right? And I think we talk a lot about circular economy, but one of the most important resource is people, right? So I think what we do here kind of ties into the CE too. And then RealWare, this is a Germany startup. I think they're Series B now. And basically what they do is they do an AR. So there's a camera and there's a microphone, right? And what they do is they go into the site, to the factories, and they usually send the less experienced guys to the factories and have the more experienced guy at the control tower. And that's a way to kind of do the resource allocation, and they can tell you, okay, cut that line, don't cut that line, do this and that. So that's another example that we have here. And I think, I just want to touch briefly, like we talk a whole lot about startup, about digital, but at the end, as I mentioned, technology, advancement are the one that make us able to do a lot of things, right? You can think of it as a catalyst, right? It actually helps you create new business model, some new process, and new OE or even the communication channels, right? And it's not just a digital technology. I'm not going to go into it, but there are some physical technologies. There are some biological technologies also. Okay? So for me, believe it or not, I don't have much of the content for today. What I aim to do today is to share a lot of examples and just kind of give you guys cases that can help you think about maybe how you can go back and apply to your company or to your unit. And I think the panelists will come and talk about two of the other ones too. But before I go there, I have some pretty neat example, some more that I want to share with you. Okay, the first one is called the Danish Vigga. And this is one of my personal favorite because I have two young daughters, 3 and 4 years old. So if you can play the video.
Unique new concept that introduces organic reusable children's clothing on subscription. We want to end the throwaway society and invite you and your child to be part of our new community. We make soft organic children's clothing in sizes that fit your child. When it no longer fits, we'll send you a new Vigga bag. And the clothes that your child has outgrown, you'll just return it to us. In every bag you'll find lots of lovely clothes designed by me and produced with pure organic wool and cotton. When the clothes are returned, we do a quality inspection, and after a visit to a professional eco-labeled laundry, they are ready to be sent off to a new child. And if you choose to dress your child in Vigga, don't worry about harmful chemicals, we would never use them. It takes 3,000 liters of water to produce a baby jumpsuit. That's the same amount of water one person uses over a whole month. The production also emits around 7 kilos of carbon dioxide, which is the same amount produced by a car on a 55-kilometer drive. But because Vigga circulates clothing between at least 5 families, you are reducing your child's water consumption and carbon footprint by up to 80%.
Jeg er enormt overrasket over, hvor let det er. Der har ikke været nogen problemer i forhold til bestillingerne, og tøjet kom før, end jeg selv havde afleveret det, vi var i gang med at bruge. Jeg kan godt lide den der fællesskabsfølelse. Det er jo modtage tøj, som andre babyer har været i. Jeg synes, det er hyggeligt, der følger en historie med hvert lille stykke tøj.
With the Vigga subscription, you have given your child a head start towards a sustainable future. Join us and sign up for our newsletter at vigga.us.
So that's just one of the example. They're not a well-known startup, and in fact, I think most of my example they're not well-known. I just want to give you some of the example, and it has nothing to do with adventures at all. Okay, the number 2 example here is called SIBO. Okay, SIBO is from the U.S. Actually, I think it's a Series B or Series C, and basically they do predictive maintenance. Okay, so what they do is they use sensors and IoT to connect to their machines, and basically they can tell you when to do predictive maintenance and also like do a lot of the optimization. So you help with the efficiency, and most importantly, you prolong the life of your machine, which is one of the key concepts for CE. Okay. Another example, I have a video here too. It's called TIPA. If you can play that, it's from Israel, from Tel Aviv.
So, usually when we take out the garbage, it's picked up and hauled away and we forget about it, right? But the thing is, it doesn't just vanish. It goes to a landfill where it stacks up. Every year, Americans throw millions of tons of flexible plastic packages to the garbage. These packages have no recycling solution. So that lends the question, what can we do to lower our garbage impact on the world? Well, TIPA created compostable plastic packaging that retains all the qualities of regular flexible plastic packages, but with an end of life that's good for the environment.
Well, the world is changing. The level of consumption is growing dramatically, and at the same time, awareness is rising. We all understand that we cannot continue using packages as we have done before, and something has to change. Well, TIPA's vision is actually to change all packages into compostable packaging, so packaging can be treated as a resource.
TIPA Lock is the first home compostable, freezer-safe, transparent zipper bag to hit the market. After testing in TIPA's lab, it was found that after only a few months, there was no trace that the package was ever there.
Okay, so basically that's just one example that really kind of focus on the circular supply for sure. The next one is called LancerTech. I think out of the list I have here, this one is the most advanced one. And basically, it's a really high-tech company. What they do is they capture the carbon, and they actually convert the carbon to be less of the greenhouse gases. And at the same time, they create a lot of work and make a lot of efficiency move. Okay. And then Envirit is another USA company. It's actually HVAC. It's a heating, aeration, AC type company. And basically what they do is they do a better air quality and also optimize a lot of the energy used in the building. Okay. And the last one, my personal favorite, is called Acura. And it's actually a startup in our company. And what we do here is actually focusing on farming, okay? And one of the key pain points on farming is that we use the watering. We put water in the wrong way, right? Not always that we don't have enough water, but a lot of time we overwater. So the solution here is actually connecting the sensors and the IoT so that we can connect to the farmer and say, this is when you should actually water your plants. And then we can actually talk about fertilizing and a lot of the pH and everything. So I think one of the key points I want to just show is that, some of these guys are really attacking the problem of sustainable business in a way, kind of like, okay, this is a startup that do good for the world, but many of them is not that. They just have a few components that actually touch the concept of CE, and they have a small impact. But the idea is if you have a lot of them and you sum them up together, that's a big impact. Okay, so I would like to invite two of my panelists, and let's talk about the more of a concrete example on how they are both startup and how they actually think about the circular economy. The first guy here is น้องโหน่งนะครับสิทธิศักดิ์ He's a CEO and co-founder of Gistics นะครับ Okay, and the next guy is ช้างนะครับ ช้าง is a CEO and co-founder of Hiveground Robotics นะครับ So again, it's just going to be discussion, really nothing serious. And first I think before we start with anything, maybe start with โหน่งนะครับ โหน่ง if you can introduce Gistics a little bit นะครับ what you do, and I think you have a slide here, right?
Yes. สวัสดีครับ my name is Nong. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Gistic. So should we start the slide now?
Can we start the slide ครับ
Yes.
มันอยู่ตรงไหนอะ
Okay. So basically, Gistic, I can give you an overview of Gistic, so what we do here. So let me tell you how the name came from. It came from logistic. So we just cut the law out. And that's how I name up my startup. So let me start with the video so I can give you a really brief overview of what we do here. Okay, so that's a little intense music for afternoon. So I hope it wakes some of you up. And yeah, so what we do here, we have a few verticals of logistics. So first we have the TMS product. So it stands for Transportation Management System. So in this model, we provide free software for businesses to manage their own fleets and also to manage their subcontractor fleets in order to reduce works in your logistic operations as well as increasing visibility. So basically, your operation can track your deliveries as well as your customer can track your delivery as well. And it's a really simple app. It's not a software, it's an application, which means well, if you talk about software, you need to implement it for like 5 months, 6 months, and it costs you millions. But for us, we provide freemium, so we can onboard your team in just a few hours, and then you can get back and then digitize your logistics. And number two, we have integration. So we also integrate with your existing system, and we mostly do with SAP. And number three, we have the marketplace where we prepare all of the logistics service providers on the market and enable business customers to firstly compare prices as quick as possible, and then book the service on demand. So with number three, we really help procurement department to reduce time in getting price. So let's imagine that how your logistic operation get price for your shipment. So that would take hours. But for this one, it's just like check price for your hotel or flights, just like that. And therefore, we have a more advanced model. So we raised Series A last year, and then by the time that business was growing, and then we found another model that anyone that want to become Uber or Grab for logistics, so they just join us, and then they can just go and compete in the market, just like Lalamove, Delivery. So the digital service for logistics will become really standard, and that system is provided by us at the moment. And lastly is the big data. So as Joshua said, that digitization is really important because of the data, and then we can utilize it later once we have the volume of data. So we collect bunch of data behind and make it value of it. And let me get into details about what we do here. So firstly, marketplace. So the service we have is first we provide domestic transportation. So it's ranging from 4 wheels, 10 wheels, 22 wheels. So we do cargo only, not the parcel. And the second thing we provide is like freight, custom clearance. So these services are listed on the platform. Sorry. And this is a real page. If you go there, and then you will see at least 2 choices if you want to. For example, if you check for 4-wheel prices or 6-wheel price, within Bangkok. So value proposition here, we help businesses to book service on demand. So if you run out of trucks, so you can book it to fulfill your supply chain daily. And more, we also have bidding system. So because if we talk about logistics, there are a lot of high volume and customized requirements on your shipment. So with this page, so we digitize the procurement process. So you just put your job on there, and then we would match the right logistics service providers. For example, you want 6 wheels running from Bangkok to Chiang Mai, so we would match logistics service providers that has this service, not the whole database, because we talk about quality matching. And this model we also implement within SDG Logistics as well at the moment. And the second one, it is transportation management system. So it just look like this. So just manage your fleets, a really simple one. And what we have here, the highlight of the product is that we digitize the job orders for your drivers. So you don't need to write paper or get hard copies anymore. But if you're required by the regulations, so you will still need it. But with this system, so we try to help reduce on papers during deliveries 100%. And then we provide real-time tracking. So we get location either from mobile phone or GPS box. And lastly, it's super easy because nowadays we never teach driver how to use. So we just give them some incentive if they finish it. First job, so we top up like through money or AAS. So they just do it perfectly. And moreover, we also provide like calendar for trucks. So this one is the visibility of your supply for your trucks. So this model has been used in SDG construction building material. So let's imagine your shop selling construction materials. And once you sell it, so you would need to check your truck that when would you be able to deliver the cargo. So we just provide visibility of your truck, just like hotel and flights. And lastly, with tracking, so we connect with GPS with your mobile phone, so you can use it right away. And lastly, with the website Uber for trucks, so it's a really simple one. So you can just do one click and put some pictures on it, so you can sell your trucks just like Lala Move and Grab. And here's an example that our mission is not purely the business, but we also doing Thailand 4.0 picture. So our mission here is we're doing digitization for logistics, because my background is that my family also own a logistic company, and I found that logistics in Thailand, over 90% is still traditional. If we compare to Germany, USA, where they do everything on digital platform. So we get support, and here's an example of what we do with SCB Bank. So here is a sample that we collaborate with banks and some government agencies to help digitizing logistics.
Yeah. So it's a truly sharing platform, and basically there's a lot of collaboration between you and a lot of the big companies and sharing resource, right? So that's really tie into what we talked about this morning, right? So Chang, maybe you can talk about HG a little bit. I know you have a slide too, right? So let's introduce your startup.
Okay, good afternoon. So my name is Chang. นะครับ Chang เลย Beer Chang นะครับ Okay, so I'm a CEO and co-founder of the startup called HG Robotics. It's a company that actually we want to work in the robot company, but we cannot find one, so we built one. Okay, so this is our timeline. Okay, so we start as a like SME. 5 of us come back from abroad. We actually the student used to be a child that play a lot on the robot. If you can still remember, on the early 2000s, there is a robot team that compete on the RoboCup, a robot that plays soccer, a robot that doing the rescue robot, something like that. In early 2000,
That's you.
yeah, we're doing that for like 5 or 6 years. And then we graduated and we go study abroad, US, Canada, US, Germany, Japan. And if you can remember a lot of news during that time, say, so we have a lot of robot champion here in Thailand. Where are they? So what I can say is that they just graduated and just came back to Thailand and work as the robot company. So we start our company in 2011. After most of us still study abroad, we start using all the cloud platform. Like we working on the Google document, we doing a meeting on Skype, something like that. And in 2013, we graduated and come back working full time. That time we start from 5 people, doing the robot related project. Robot related projects mean anything that we can relate to robot in our thought, then we just do it. For example, we're doing the flying bag. I don't have video today. We're doing the cell cultivator machine for the Department of Dentists in July to simulate the กระพุ้งแก้ม something like that.
Sheet,
But
yeah.
we running around trying to find a good robot project. And in the early 2014, we start working on the unmanned system. We together with a big company in Thailand, the Masan Shipyard, working together to start integrating the UAV, the big UAV, like 6-meter wing UAV for the Royal Thai Air Force. After that, we have a chance to work with the PTTEP and Kasetsart University on building the prototype of the AUV, autonomous underwater vehicle, for inspecting the pipeline under Thai Gulf. And after that, we have a chance to work with Labco, one of the SCG chemical sub company, to develop a inspection drone for that Pichard already talking about, for the factory inspection. And after we work with a lot of robot for a while, we come to the idea like Gistech have, that we need something to manage robot, to make it, commercializable, to make it usable for the business. Because when we have a robot, and just one robot, it's okay to have one operator. But you start using 10, 100 or 10,000 robots, then you will need the back office, the back system to monitor, to assign the job, to do everything with that. So in 2016, we got investment from the Invest Venture, which is a fund management company that put the money from the government saving bank, GSB, and SET into our company in 2016. After that, we go really fast. Now we have about 35 people. From 35 people, 30 of them is engineers working on various projects in our company. And right now, we are working on the system as a platform to manage the robot fleet in various kind of business vertical. At the moment, we are focusing on the agricultural robot, right? In the picture you might see in 2017, we are also working on the ASV, autonomous surface vehicle. So it's like a robotic boat. That one is like 6 meters, can go up to 20 knots in speed, compared to like the boat that running in our Chapaya River, we normally run at about 10 knots. So this one is much faster. And that one is developed also with the Marzan, working for the Royal Thai Navy, right? So next, I will show you the videos of what we are doing. This one is the inspection drone. We start develop in 2012. That many years before we have DJI that have all the same, functions. This one is using by PTT-EP. So we have like 30x zoom camera, thermal camera. This is some of the picture that drone can grab from the air. Like really hot, flash stack. You have to fly really far away and take a picture from them. And this one, we also provide the fully autonomous flight. We modify the firmware and software. This is the Thailand project. We're developing a vertical takeoff and landing drone. This one is for large-scale surveying of the crop. For example, if you have a sugarcane field and you want to see inside the field what is the disease, what is the defect, or even predict the CCS, like commercial cane sugar, we're talking about how many square kilometers, not just how many rice. So normal drone can fly up to 20 minutes, but with this kind of platform, you can go up to 1 hour or more. So you can cover more faster. And without using the normal takeoff and landing, you can doing the vertical takeoff and landing. So basically you can use it from everywhere. So you don't need a large area to take off or large area to landing. And we can change the payload, the camera inside, depend on the mission. Yeah, since we are a robotic company, so we also have another project that, related to the drone things. So this is the drone from the Royal Air Force. It go up to like 3 kilometers. This is a boat that I'm just talk about. And this is also the security robot that we JV with one of the real estate developer to develop. So by doing this, we will need some kind of platform to monitoring and tracking and assign the mission to each robot in real time. So this is one of the example of the software that we develop for our drone. This is just a front end for the operator in the field to control the drone. But in the back end, we also have the website and also ERP system for manage the asset. That also can be connect to your back office. If you already have some ERP system inside or something like that, we can pull the data out or push the data in to control it. Yeah. So this is basically what we are doing right now.
So it's basically a product as a service, right? You can see that a lot of things, without them, it would take many times weeks to do the survey, but with these technologies, they can probably do within a day, right? Or sometimes even half a day. And I think one of the points that we were talking before is that safety is really key concern. And when you were having your application that, there's a boat, right, in the Mekong River, right? If people shoot at each other, it's just a boat. It's not a big deal. The most is just kind of, sink. That's it. But there's no people involved. So pretty cool. Okay, so I think we're done with the video นะครับ หยุดเลยก็ได้ครับ Okay, so the next question I want to maybe talk to Chang first แล้วกันนะครับ How does your company view the business sustainability and how the role of circular economy can be adopted in your startup?
So actually, when Pijas asked me about the circular economy, the first thing I have to do is Google. Yeah, I never heard of it.
Everyone does, yeah.
Yeah, everyone does. So after take a look, first link, second link, third link, blah 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 blah. I see many interesting things in the circular economy that can easily relate it on what we are doing. right? So although the robot is really difficult to recycle, I have to admit that. So we have a lot of toxics in our robot, the batteries, the grease, everything really difficult to recycle. But what robot doing is that is a systematic, a platform that has a system to help collecting the data, a lot of data from the environment. And in my view, I think robot system, automate system, is a good system that very good for, recycle and using the data. By using the robot to collecting the data from the business function or what we are working on, using that data to generate the strategy, to analyze and create the strategy, and then use that to implement the next action based on the data. And when we doing the action, it's like we using the data, right? After that, then we get a result. And then we collecting the data again. It's like recycling the data. And with this loop, what we have here is like increasing the efficiency of the overall process. And if that including the safety of the people and everything, then that is a good thing about, doing a circular economy using the robot as one of the tool of the platform to help on that one.
ครับโหน่งครับ same question นะครับก็ your view on the business sustainability นะครับแล้วก็ how CE can be adapt to your startup นะครับ
Okay. So actually, let's look at the market size in Thailand in terms of logistics. So there are about 7.5 million trucks in Thailand, only trucks for delivery for logistics. So let's imagine that we increase this number every year. And on the consumer side, they increase every year. That's why we get a lot of traffic, right? And there an increase in SME as well. And the logistic cost in Southeast Asia has been super high comparing to other continent of the world, like in Europe, where the logistic cost is roughly about 7%. And in the US as well. And Singapore is 7%, but in Thailand it's 15%. So we see this number. And for circular economy, so I always based on these three models. So first, digitization. Because if we want to move forward beyond digitize, I think it's really hard because we don't have any data. And we don't have any visibility in your data. We're talking about data in your operations, in your sales, your costs, and everywhere. So first is digitization. And once we grow enough on digital platform, we do utilization. For example, if you run truck platform, so you can reuse it on the way back. We call backhaul service. And also we can manage trucks availability in the next 30 days or next 60 days, so how in order to utilize it. And lastly, with optimization. So if you have a bunch of shipments that you want to ship in a day and you have limited supply, so with this model would be able to optimize your routes or your strategy. So I'm always based on these three models. So if you come to me and talk about utilization and optimization, so I would ask about your infrastructure first, that how much percentage are you doing digital on your operations? And with the model that we provide freemium product to SMEs to use our app in managing the trucks and the subcontractors. So it's actually based on decentralized model. So they can proceed transactions between each other without our control. And then that's how we collect the big data. And then lastly, we analyze and make more value on it. And this is the model. And the sample of big data, for example, if you look at the domestic fleet, in terms of demand, we know the cargo, the invoice, And on the supply and waste, we know how much truck you use it, how much you utilize it in the next 30 days. And lastly, with consumption, for example, fuel, tires, because these are the top 3 costs to your logistics. So with big data, we are trying to capture this data first before we actually decide the product. And what we do with the big data, so according to the Quant6 study in the UK, so first they use it for supply chain traceability. So once you have enough data, so you can track anywhere, anything in your supply chain, from getting orders from your customers until deliveries performance to your customer as well. So, and the second is the procurement efficiency. So in order to grow your business and scale your business fast enough, so if you still rely on people, so that's the waste of resource, right? Because 80% of our work is quite routine. We do everything the same every day. So Gistic, we are not trying to do anything advanced. So if you see in the screen, it's so simple app. So here's an example that we actually implement to SDG. So I can show you the video. So it's actually SDG initiative. So we actually follow them, how they use our app and deliveries.
I like your choice of songs, right? Always upbeat.
A little EDM.
Yeah.
So just take picture of every picking up and delivery points. And then signature every point. So it's actually super simple app. And with SCG, we actually took only a month, including everything, so they can go live the system with 0 cost actually. Yep, and they pay us monthly like 2,000 baht a month for managing the whole fleets. Let's think about developing by yourself. So that would take millions and months to implement it. And that's the first one that we base on, so the digital platform. And second is the sharing platform that we always think of, where they can share their resources together. So because Gistic, we are marketplace, we are not Uber model for trucks. So trucks you're seeing on here, so they have empty trucks, or they have like trucks available. So they list on the platform and let our customers choosing it. And that's a really simple model.
So typically, like for the backhaul, like how often that is not full? Like, can you give a percentage there?
Well, on the way, on the first haul,
Yeah.
it's always full.
Yeah.
But on the back, let's say 80%, it's always empty.
Okay.
We talk about SMEs, but for SCG, so there are more high numbers. So that's how we are learning from SDG, and we are adopting your strategy to SMEs, to the whole market. And moreover, we also do flow automation. So you have any system that you already used for 10 years, so you don't need to change, and you just put us at the middle. So that's how we utilize your resource. That's an input, like sales order. And on the right-hand side is like reports. So where the management teams can actually see the reports real time. And lastly, what happened is that not only job reduction or human works reduction, but it's a visibility in everything. So at Gistic, we mentioned here, we focus on digitizing logistics. So here's an example of how would you see how you manage your shipments.
So I think I'm going to continue with you. No. So if you can just step back a little, right, and not not on logistics, but talk about your industry a little bit on the circular economy, how can it be implemented to logistics in Thailand or global. Yeah.
Yeah. So startup businesses. So actually, I answered that questions earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the industry, nah?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go Chang a little bit. I think we were talking at lunch a little bit, and one of the thing is they use drones to actually help the company put down pesticide, right? And that's one of the debate that we were talking, that is it a good thing for a circular economy or is it a bad thing? And I want to hear your view on like why you choose to do that and what you actually kind of help the world by doing that. Yeah.
Okay, so I would like to start with the precision agriculture. I think in this room, whoever have a chance to see the program on the TV that a lab in Mahidol University go out and take a lot of sample from well-known supermarket in terms of vegetable and come back to that lab trying to check what is the contamination inside that one, including the organics vegetable. And almost 100% of the sample that they pick have pesticides or chemical. Interesting thing is that the one that said using organic don't have any pesticide is one of the most contaminated example in their package. So that is something that's really, really feel really bad on that. So after we work with one of our partner on, which is the actually agricultural chemical company, they sell a lot of pesticides, a lot of fertilizer. We go out into the field with them. We see the actual activity inside the field of what is happening, why they are doing that. What we found is that most of the many farmers, especially for the one who working on the vegetable, normally using a lot of pesticides on their vegetable on the day before they harvesting, because that is the most critical day that any insect should not even touch my vegetable, right? So this is the way people do right now. Mm-hmm. And there is no regulation on that. But what we are doing is that we're trying to formalize the process using the robot and drone technology, right? So when we're talking about precision agriculture, right? So there is a loop inside this one. You can see here, collect the data, doing data analysis, putting a strategy, and then implement something to make it work. I will show just one example of what we are working on. Okay, so for the data collection and data analysis, this is one of the drones that we are working on. This is a small drone that have like multispectral camera on it. So we have the software to control, like the fleet management from district, but this one is for drone control. For example, we want to examine the field, in the football field, we can pre-plan everything. First, pre-plan everything and then reuse the data or reuse the plan. And this is how it works. So normally if you flying drone, this will be like fully autonomous. So this guy just sliding the tab on the tablet and this go up and fly to take the picture fully autonomous with the data. Okay, what we get from our drone, this is like multi-spectrum camera. So we got this like more technical. So we got the red, green, blue, and another spectrum from the drone like lead edge and NIR. So what is the meaning of all this spectrum? Is that when we're looking at the healthy crop, most of the healthy crop will reflect the NIR back from its leaf. If there is a stress in the crop or insect or lack of water, it will be changed in the reflection and also the color, something like that. We can use that information to see into detail. For example, for this one, you can see a lot of green in the image. Okay, this one is really obvious. For this one, might not be so obvious. This one is a harvested area. The light green color is the falling leaf on the floor, so we can separate it easily by our eye. But by doing the multi-spectrum color calculation or vegetation index calculation, we can see it's a little bit, a little bit more clear on the area that is no crop at all. It's harvesting area. The interesting thing is here, you can see that is a blue and a green color on this one. If you see by the green, normal green color, we cannot see the difference. By doing this, by using this kind of data, we will be able to analyze and putting some strategy on it. Actually, we still need some people go into the field to check and see actually what is happening. But by correlating that kind of information, we can build the autonomous platform to help, like, first step, I mean, just tell us what is happening. You should go to see. After you get some feedback, we can build the AI or machine learning system to help, I mean, label or tagging, I mean, fully autonomous in the future. And also, by using a drone flying high, what you get here is actually the height of the land. You can see the gradient of the land from here to here. This is higher area, go down, lower area. This is like about centimeter different in height. And you can see this is the sugarcane crop. So you can see the volume of the cane. So by doing this, you can predict the flow of the water. You can plan all the water resource, where you should put the water first, and as it go down naturally, so reduce the power. This is also help, I mean, reduce the resources. And by doing the high volume yield, you also together with the multi-spectrum camera, we can doing the yield or crop prediction. So you get better, I mean, more accurate number about the actual yield that you will get from the field. So if you are for example, the sugar company, the sugar factory that normally will have to find the needed cane for each season, this will help them to plan both, I mean, allocating the farm or finding another or supplementary farm if the damage on the current, I mean, contract farm is too high, something like that. Yeah, after doing the analysis, putting the strategy in place, for example, from this picture, we see something bad here, maybe the disease, maybe the insect, right? So we can using this information as the targeted area for, I mean, putting a drone into work. And doing that, this is one of the examples that we have done. So by working with our partner, doing the test in the actual rice field, we come up with the normal prescription for rice. So normally we will have to apply like 5 chemical to our rice. In the normal crop cycle, this is 5 of them. The main is we start with kumlen. Kumlen is so when you preparing the paddy field. So we using the tractor to prepare the mud. We have to actually spray something to prevent the grass to growing up from that. If we are not doing that and you let the grass go up, you will lose like 30 or 40% of the yield of the rice. This is very bad for. And after that, if nothing bad happens, we still have to apply some chemical to further reduce the number of grass. the glass. And after that, we have to doing preventive maintenance on the fungus and some kind of insect. Yeah, and after that, fungus and also the hormone to help the growth of the actual rice. And after that, before harvesting, another kind of hormone to help the growth. This is the basic things that people are doing right now using manual labor. For the last two, it might not so dangerous. But for the first three, right now, do you know how many baht people get when they go into the field doing a spraying per ride? Any guess? How many baht people get when they're doing the spraying in the rice field for one ride? Any guess? 300? Higher or lower? Huh?
She say higher.
Higher? How many higher? 500? Anyone give me higher? Okay, so for the average plot size of the agriculture in Thailand, we are talking about 30 or 50 ride per plot. So if you give the sprayer for 500 baht per ride, that means one spraying will cost them like 50 คูณ 500 ได้อะไรนะ 25,000 okay 25,000 baht. So what is the price of the rice per ride that we have right now? It's about 6,000 baht per ride. So if you give them 500 baht per ride, right, it means only pesticizing labor only for 5 times. So it's 2,500 baht. It's already half of the cost. So actually, people now they get only 50 baht. Only 50 baht. In the central area, 50 to 60 baht. Carrying about 20 kilos of pesticides, very, very harmful, very toxic, on their shoulder, doing spraying, upwind, downwind. So normally they can work just a couple years, and then they become another fertilizer. No. Yeah, that is a very bad thing that is happening right now. And in the Isan, the northeastern part of Thailand, a little bit higher, up to 100 to 150 baht per ride. That is still very low compared to the what?
The medical costs later on.
Yeah, something like that. So this is one thing that robot and technology can come and help. Although the robot is a good thing, but it's also expensive. So we have to balance between the cost of the robot and things that we can help. So the management system is very important. So I think this is the important thing about the circular, because although we have the data collection, data analysis, put the strategy in place, doing the implementation, and we don't get the data back and see what is actually happened after we using the robot to help. We cannot justify the benefit of the robot or benefit of the system. By not doing that, then people will not trust us. So they will not further adopt the technology. So this is the recycling part, that after we apply anything, we have to take the data back and tell them this is the good thing, this is the thing that we have to do. So this is one of the examples that the robotic system or something that it put into process can help in the circular economy.
Okay. ครับ So another question นะครับ Let's go with Nong นะครับ So what do you think about the view that the startups and the circular economy are unrelated or incompatible? I think this, when we were preparing for this talk, a lot of people kind of say that startup and circular economy is nothing to do with each other. And they say, in a way, you guys are trying to survive, trying to get money. Do you even think about it? So maybe you can talk more about it. Yeah.
Okay, so let me cover up the last question as well. I confused myself. Actually, gonna emphasize more about startups and circular economy. So, and later on, I can emphasize more about, is it really work?
Yeah.
Does it really work that startup really contribute to circular economy? So this is an example of sharing economy. This startup called Avantida I think it's probably in Sweden or somewhere in Europe. Because let's imagine that when you import something for a full container, so you have your trailer picking up your cargo from your seaport and then unloading at your warehouse. And after that, you traditionally return the container to container yard. But this startup actually enable you to just deliver that container to next door. So it's actually acquired already. So it really reduced the resource in returning containers, and it's working in Europe and it's coming to Thailand right now. That's the first example. And let's look at Thai startup. You might have seen Claimday. He's a really good brother to me. So with sharing economy, so you can see Grab, Uber, Airbnb, and this is another sample that he digitized the insurance industry and actually recruit workers like just normal people to work as an inspector. So, and not only reducing the process for insurance companies, but they also create jobs to, what do I say? คนว่างงาน yeah, workers, yeah, unemployed people, or even students, or like เด็กช่าง something like that to make some good things to the economy. That's another example. And here's another example as well. I think you might have seen already, Scooter. So another example for sharing economy, but this one is for messenger service. So they really create jobs. I think they have about 4,000 messengers, and more than the half they work part-time. So for example, if you finish job and then you wanna
Yeah, the owner is actually a mentor to our internal startup. Yeah.
Yes, he's actually mentor to me as well. So he really proved that sharing economy also works on messenger service as well. Yeah, so that's a few examples to sharing economy, and you may already see that it really contributes to circular economy because you can adopt resource faster and then reuse it and then share it on digital platform. So let's look at, but it really depends on the startup stage. If you talk to startups that just start for a few months or less than a year, so on the green one, so they might not be able to make large impact, or you might not be able to see a lot of contribution to circular economies. But if you look at the growth stage, so like Series A plus, where Adventures focus on investing, so we at least create jobs to the economy, and we also reduce works on the customer side, and moreover, it's scaling fast. So that's how we move towards the circular economy faster as a digital platform and plus the sharing economy model. So that's my thought.
Okay. คุณช้างครับ same question นะครับก็ is on the view about the startup versus the circular economy, unrelated or incompatible in your view?
So for me, I think thinking about something that unrelated or incompatible is really easy. But for me, I think as the company start growing, so we are setting up our company, right? So by learning about circular economy, I think this is very good for a startup company that because they are just a company that just growing up, so it's like a children to teach them. And by having the big company, a big brother, a good big brother that have this kind of philosophy, which is a good thing, helping us, then we can adopt it easily and put into our mind from the day one. So I think by doing the good thing about circular economy, I think that is a good thing that a startup can learn from the big company. And then, I mean, using that as one of our core idea on developing our company. And I think this is very good start point for the company. So
if I can jump in here, I think most of our startup are B2B. And because it's B2B, we're not really selling to the end consumer. So we're selling to companies. And a lot of times they actually have to work with corporates. So I think it goes to your point that, working with corporates, you actually can learn a lot of things on who you choose to work with, right? Yeah.
And yeah, that is the thing. But I have to share the idea of Gistech that sometimes, so we are growing, so we are like moving fast. Sometimes we forget about something. Yeah, but with the company that already have that kind of important philosophy in mind already, I think they will have some concerns about the impact what they are doing, right? I think that is a good thing for startup to embrace the circular economy idea.
Actually, can add more on this point because not only startup can scale by itself fast enough and also contributing to circular economy, but for example, like Gistic and SDG Adventures, so they invest in us and then they push us a lot of jobs on a lot of projects. Yeah. So at this model, we really learn faster, like 10x faster, and not only because of startup, but also with the support from corporate ventures like SCG. So we would be able to do things 10x faster. So for example, like I have the team, you have the resource, so like you innovate, we scale, something like that, right? Yeah.
Okay, cool. So 2 more questions. The first one, let's go to Chang. Do you have any recommendations to potential startups or even SME, right? When thinking about circular economy, and if you can maybe bring the context to Thailand, because we're in Thailand. So.
Yeah. So since we also a startup, so we start doing things. So might not be in the position that can, so please using the economy, circular economy. But I think this philosophy is a good idea. So I think by studying it or trying to look into detail of what this circular economy can do, I think that is the first step and very important. Open your mind for this kind of philosophy. And this is what I feel when Pichas asked me to talk about this circle. After listen about it, research about it, I think, okay, this one is good. Trying to relate the philosophy, the step inside to our business. And we will see that even just a drone for spraying help recover something back from the economy, the environment, something like that. So by just open the mind, looking into detail, I think that is very good step toward the circular economy. And after we start doing that, we have the best practice in Thailand. Someone that already implemented that will be another thing that I think SCG can support and push that toward the circular economic ecosystem here.
Okay.
Okay. I also have slides again. Okay. Well, let's do it. Call to action. So credit to SCG. So I actually learned circular economy from SCG before I actually even here. So it's really important to set vision. For example, for Gistic, we set vision for logistic digitization, and then we can work models later that how can we reuse or recycle or even share resource. Because circular economy is so, I think it's quite similar to startup, where we need, where other startups, if you see the startup, we also focus on creating big impacts to economy. For example, create jobs, recycle, reuse, share resource, everything. So it's really similar, but the other thing is about scaling. So, and team is really important because with the vision, without team, so it would make nothing out. And then lastly, we cooperate with, as I mentioned earlier, with SDG, with banks, with government. So this is call to action, like 6 points that I learned from SDG. And yep, that's pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
And lastly, I think I'll go with Nong นะครับ So last one, I want to talk about your vision, right, regarding the circular economy and basically how you can take this further into the future ครับ
Well, as I said, like vision is super important because it's the direction of the company. So with Gistic, we aim to digitize logistics. So we set some sort of like objective key results to the company. So we actually have 3 to 4 points. So firstly, with customer workforce integration, because we now have strong logistics system, and then we just focus on integration, not to develop other things. So we focus on what we do here because we do good at the logistics. So that's our area. And then network integrations, that's the second integration. For example, with other startups, with governments, with banks, and with hardware providers. So because Gistic is, you can view Gistic as a technology company, not logistic company. So we focus on building one thing and scale it. So that's why we focus on mainly integrations a lot. And number 3, blockchain. Because blockchain now has become a new technology. So where you can, for example, if you want to transfer money to your friend, so in the future, there would be no bank anymore. So you can do like peer-to-peer transaction. So I'm always based on this model. And we are putting blockchain in certain parts, for example, like proof of deliveries and any documents that are generated electronically. So we put that blockchain on there. And we call smart contracts on that. And lastly, AI, artificial intelligence, to help you optimizing and utilizing your resource. And again, we don't develop AI, so we rent it. And then collaborate, yes. That's the model. And that's the objective for Gistic: revenue, users, and expansion. So that's how we set our target really clear. And now we're still heading towards that point to be a regional player.
Okay ครับผมช้างครับ last question นะครับก็ regarding the vision for CE and how you want to take it further.
Okay, so I think what I want to talk in this, want to answer in this is not what we are going to do. I think what we are going to think in terms of CE. So since we already the technology company, so we have to build something anyway. But by adopting the idea of CE into our company culture or put into our company culture, I believe that this will help us, build something that and more sustainable in the near future. So I think we will, I not discuss about our company in the future, what we are going to do, because we just already know that in our proposal. But for CE, I think this will incorporate into our company culture and make everyone inside our company thinking about the environment, the people, including ourselves, toward our goal, something like that. thank you
Okay. ครับผม so basically that's what we have for the panel, and if I can wrap up quickly on what we have talked in the last 2 hours, about 2 hours, is this. The first thing is, like the idea of the circular economy, right? The first thing is think beyond the customer expectation. If they want a product, don't just give them a product, but give them a product that are good for the world and this and that. So think more than what they ask for, okay? Number two, again, I want to stress on the business model innovation. I think this morning, one of the slides that talk about there's a process innovation, there's a product innovation, and there's a business model innovation. For us, in the digital area, we mostly look at this because we think there's so many features that we actually can impact in terms of CE. So I think some of you can go back and rethink about this. Last, I think the concept of ecosystem. I think every one of you will have friends, right? Can be peers in your same industry or people in the university or whatever. But the idea of ecosystem is really, really the way to go nowadays, right? So don't think about solving a problem by yourself. Think it with your peers, and I think that's a good way to raise the bar for your industry. Okay, and lastly, I like this idea of summation, right? I think I mentioned before, everyone kind of think about the CE in their own way, and I think they make impact, every single one of them. But big or small, depends. But if you think about the collective of us, I think adding a little things together become big thing. So what I want to urge you guys for today is go back to your unit, go back to your organization. Think about what you're doing on at the moment, what is your business model, and maybe one thing you can do for this quarter. Just think about one thing and apply that. And maybe next quarter, do one more. And as you go, test and learn and keep improving as you go. And I think that way, I think all of us will actually do a better thing for the next 50 years. So I think that's kind of all we have. And I want to thank you, two of our panelists, for joining us. And I think if you guys have any Q&A, if you have any questions, please ask us. Otherwise, we can be around here and answer you guys. มีคำถามเลยไหมครับ Okay.
Hi, Chairat. I'm come from a car rental company, ASAP, which is a public listed company. Now we are doing some sort of car sharing, right? People like SIP cars in the West they are doing. So I'm just very, very curious on this developments, because we have seen in the Western country, right? At the end of the day, this kind of sharing economies and the application that go with it is become a super app, because you cannot basically sustain in that one single application, right? The logistic company become a bank, right? A retail company become a logistic company, and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. Do you foresee, yourself, these two startup? I'm quite amazed, right? You call these two startup. They are just almost there, almost very successful there. But how do you foresee in the future of all this application, CE, and all these things become a super app? Is there a way that you can basically successful as a standalone application in that sense?
Okay. You want to take it first, or I'll let you guys take it first,
Okay.
and then I'll have my point too. Yeah.
So let's answer the first question. So
Okay, so since พี่อะไรนะครับ
ผมชัยรัตน์ครับ
Okay, คุณชัยรัก say that everything will go toward the super application, super company that everyone doing everything, right? So how us at a startup under SCG will survive on that point? Is that your question?
That yes and no, because for example, we are doing car sharing, right? But now we see Grab and Uber coming. Now we have a problem, a challenge, whether we should go on this application on ourselves, or we should go with them and all that things. And I foresee the same thing might happen to you too as well.
Okay. Because our market is quite early, And I always talk to Pri Krating Punpon, he's our VC as well, that if the market is early and if you win, it's called like the winner takes all. So that's how startup works. That's why we raise funds in order to grow 10x. Because if we operate the business without funds, so it's just like SMEs.
So in my view, right, I think I kind of agree with him. Each of us, usually as a startup, we start with one customer pain point, and we have a key feature, right? So if your key feature is the same with someone else, then it becomes kind of like who's going to win. And I think a lot of times the network effect, like if you talk about Google, right? Many years ago, you may search for anything through Yahoo search or Bing. And then eventually Google comes, they get everything, or Amazon or Alibaba, right? So I think if your features are similar to them, then you're in trouble. Like as far as, like the startup go. But if you have a feature that they don't have, I think one of the good ways that you see often is that startup collaborating with each other, and they kind of have an API and just say, okay, if you're going to do this, I don't do, but I can connect you to that. So I think in a way, this is kind of what I would do and see how you can work with some of the ones. But if you're totally in the same verticals, then you're competing, right? And I think just to give one example, if you go to China, many years ago, you see bike sharing app, right? There's like 40s of them. You see like every single colors. Every brand have their own colors. But then like 3-4 years later, there's only like 4 or 5 left. And now like this year I went there, there's only 2 left. There's Ofo and Mobike. And eventually one of them will stay, or maybe 2, and then they kind of split it somewhere. But I think that's a trend that startup usually happen, is a network effect. So you need to kind of think about the features. I don't know I answer or not, but we can, yeah.
Right, understood. But because we are in there, right, at the moment, and basically we are on the crossroad, whether should we basically stop on what we are doing and then go with the big guys, become part of them, collaborate in your term, right? But then again, go with them and all that things, rather than basically keep doing ourselves.
We can talk more after that, so I think that we can take that one.
I have a little thing to share about the
How?
idea. So actually I read a lot of books, and one of the books that I like is 0 to 1. 0 to 1 is talking about things that you want to do something that some people don't do it yet, or you go from 1 to 100 by collaborate on someone else or build on someone idea. So I think this is very difficult question for every startup here.
And every setting is different.
Yeah. So I think this is one of the good book about the topic also. If anyone are curious on this one, I think I would recommend this book, because this book gave me a lot of idea. And after reading the book, we see a lot of things that when people trying to do something from one, it will have a lot of big guys come in easily.
Okay, ครับ Any other questions ครับ
สวัสดีครับ My name is Nantiwat. I am the Public Affairs and Communications Director for Coca-Cola in Thailand. First of all, thank you for all the insightful presentations. Startup is always, dear to my heart, because it's all about creativity, about finding new solutions to tackle problems. So, thanks a lot for your presentation. I'm not sure that, this is a question, more like an observation or even a business proposal. I think Kun Josh opened the session really well when you actually talk about the fact that changing from the current economy, which is a linear one, to the circular one is actually the key to understanding circular economy itself. In the presentation, though, I'm still not clear about the role of the startups that can perhaps change the reality of our current economy into something like circularity.
Okay.
And I think there are like few aspects that at least some of the major companies like Coca-Cola are looking at, and perhaps this could be the opportunities that you may explore in the future. I think to really change the mindset of the people from using something when they are done with it, they just throw it away, to the point that they actually keep it and try their best to get it recycled. That is such a big pain point that all of the fast-moving consumer goods company are dealing with right now, because I think everyone, not just Coca-Cola, is trying to be more responsible, especially with our packaging. But the thing is that people have been using our products and a good chunk of that, after they are done, they just throw it away. How can you come up with a solution to deal with this pain point so that people can recycle more easily, perhaps? That would be something that all the leading companies are really interested in. The other thing that I think you use a lot is technologies to improve the efficiency of the operation by matching demand with supply much better. We are looking at that as well, and this is about really get our materials to be recycled more. So if you can come up with a solution like Uber that can match the people who want to recycle with the people who want recyclable materials, that would be something we are really interested as well.
So thank you, Kap. And I think thanks for all the points, Kap. So what I'm and sorry if it's unclear in the presentation, but basically what we're trying to kind of say as a wrap up in the startup session here is that there's many ways of doing the circular economies, and in fact I think we're kind of listing out from this morning that there's a circular supplies, right? There's a resource recovery, there's a product life extension, sharing platform, and product as a service. And I think in different startup, they focus on a different thing, right? For example, Gistic is actually the one that doing a sharing platform. And you're doing a sharing platform, you actually kind of, don't have to build so many things for each of them to use. You actually share the information. And when you do it, you actually make it more efficient for everyone, right? So in that sense, I think we're kind of addressing the CE, right? Or some of them are product as a service, right? Hiveground. Basically, kind of just, you have your access to their robots. And their robots can help on a lot of things. So I think each of them touch on the different models, but you're right. I think we haven't really answered to every single one of the problem, and I think there's still a good problems to be solved in a lot of cases, and we'll kind of do on a case by case. And I don't know any of you guys want to add there. Yeah.
Actually, can I add more about startups on recycle? Because I've been with DTech Accelerate, and I have seen a lot of startups pitching, and especially with recycle. That I think last year they came and pitched, and they want to match. Firstly, start matching with tenants in condominium, collecting garbage, and then they connect with selling to pick up every day. So that's the first that they want to digitize and connecting between the users and the person who does the recycle. And I think there are startups in SDG internally as well.
I think we have a few that actually trying to solve that problem, and I think like he said, it's actually a pretty hard industry to go do, because there's a selling, there's actually even mafia in some cases, right? If you look at some of the material. So how do you actually get into it and make it a profitable one that startup can be in? If you go back to America, right, there's a Coinstar. In a way, they start with a startup idea, like a Coke machine, right? You come in, and I used to do it. I just come with a lot of my Coke cans or a lot of my bottles, and I just push it in, and then I get coins. So they can go back and have a pretty decent, clean bottles and go do whatever they need to do, right? So the infrastructure is set for a lot of the developed country. I think for us, I think this morning, he talked a lot. It starts with the people. It starts with the mindset. So I don't have an answer for that, but I think we have ways to go, and we must be serious about it. Yeah, that's my view. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Aim. I'm a student, and I would like to ask you, like personally, as a startup, because of course, you can't tick all the boxes on the circular economy. Like you can't recycle all the time, or you can't do circular supplies all the time. But do you have plans, perhaps, to, for example, you're doing logistics. The biggest waste you produce is your carbon footprint, right? Or you're doing robotics. The waste you're producing is all the hardwares and stuff. So do you have any plans to deal with that in the near future? Maybe try to tick all the boxes in the future, or maybe encourage others in your business to tick the boxes. Yeah.
Okay. So for the robot at the moment, the most toxic waste from a robot is the battery. So as the company here in Thailand, so we rely on the recycle system of the country. And what we're doing right now is we're trying to, put our battery into the recycle box that accept the battery. We're not throwing it away, or we just dump it in the garbage. We are not doing that. That is the short-term thing that we're trying to do. And we are lucky enough that our office is inside the Faculty of Engineering at Juฬa, and they have a box that specializes for throwing battery inside. So we are doing that, right? But in the long term, I think the battery is still the big problem here. So without the supporting from the big corporation or government support on the recycling, we are willing to pay for recycling it. But if we don't have any facility here in Thailand, what we can do, our base is to improve our efficiency on the robot and trying to make sure that we use the battery long enough, as long as possible, before we throwing it away. But if we still don't have any facility to help us recycling, then we have to hope that we go big enough to build that kind of facility by ourselves. But that is beyond our business model right now. So right now we will still have rely on what the environment provide for us.
And for GISIC, we actually don't create direct waste to the economy, but instead our subcontractors, they do, because we deal directly with truck owners and companies. And the main waste would be carbon dioxide and a lot of spare parts like tires, batteries, and everything. And to answer your question, that we are not doing anything to reduce that yet, because we still focus on digitization for the next few years. But there are other startups in the US, like Elon Musk, right? They do like electric trucks already. So we just wait for the government to support electric trucks and electric cars, reduce a lot of tax, so our transporters and logistic companies can adopt that product and then reduce such waste in the economy.
But for both of us, what we are doing is put the management system in place. So what we can do best here is optimizing everything to make sure that every watt, every spending of the battery or tire is well spending. That is what we're trying to do at the moment. If we can do it that good, then we reduce indirectly already something.
And moreover, by optimizing and utilizing already reduced waste, for example, reduce usage of trucks and usage of logistics service providers, because in businesses, you guys always try to reduce logistic costs anyway. So that's the first step as a digitization path, just reducing current resource first, and then there will be more. Elon Musk is coming to Thailand. I think he's helping ด็ก 13 คน.
Okay, so I'm told that we're actually 3 o'clock already, but I want to thank these two panelists for joining us, and if we have any error during the session, sorry, and thank you very much for all of you to joining us, and have a great day ครับ สวัสดีครับ
ขอบคุณครับ